Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and this is another episode of the most recommended YouTubers series which I started earlier this month. Welcome to it again, another episode. And for this most recommended YouTuber in episode 3, that is, I shall dare be representing the third YouTuber, if I may give a third decisive presentable representation. That representation, who I dare be representing, is the most recommended YouTuber for the third episode, for 2023, that is, my best friend, David Scott. For the time being, his YouTube channel comes under the titling of Wheels, Wheels, Wheels. Before that, it was David Scott, but it wasn't always easy to find, because it didn't always get a big search. Wheels, 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 there did become some search to some extent, but I think David's collected videography could get a very, very big search, and a bigger following if he had that, seeing all the contents he's made, and what it entails and all that. From classic cars, classic car running events, vintage rallies, event rallies, and yes. And bus rallies, and that's what his channel is generally comprised of. He did think about doing a mixture of all sorts of things, to museums, bus rides, train rides. I don't think David ever considered train spotting, but it's alright. But he decided it's best to just stick for the time being, classic car running event videos and vintage rally videos and bus rally videos. But he did, however, take a few videos of the Hove Park Miniature Railway with me back in 2021, and hopefully we'll both be going to the Hove Park Miniature Railway. Not at every running day, obviously not, but sometimes whenever it's running throughout 2023, as I know David very, very much liked it, and he got to like not just the railway itself, but all the volunteers who volunteer there, and all the volunteers really got to like David extremely well, since I mentioned to them that he was my friend. Well, he's my friend now become best friend, in a reasonably short space of time. I am deeply trusting of David. I really, really am. And David, not only is he's just my best friend, but he's had a profound influence on me, I must say. It's been very, very impactful, the influence he's had on me, on our friendship. Because, if I dare point out, David, we have some things in common. David, like myself, absolutely loves cats. And also David loves all things vintage, like myself. I mean, I've loved all things vintage for a long time in my life, but David really, really did teach me how to really, really appreciate all things heritage and vintage. I just loved them, even from a young age, but he's taught me not only to just solidly love them, but he's taught me to both love them and specifically and spectacularly appreciate all of them. My love of vintage and heritage things, what have you. And that has really had a huge, impactful, long influence on myself, really it has. And I'm extremely appreciative and thankful for David, in a large extent, for all of this and all the rest of it. And also, David reminds me of my late grandfather Edmund, who sadly died back in February of 2020. David knows this, as I've said it to him various times before. So whenever I'm with David, I feel as though Edmund is alive to me. And I've never said this part before, but I think I've had many friends, and I still have many wonderful friends, which is always the most pleasurable excitement and enchantment in life. But David, I think he is the best friend I've had an initial looking for, and having had my initial look for a best friend, after losing touch with previous ones over the years, what have you, I think David was very much the best friend I've initially looked for and found him. He's the best friend I've found, and I just appreciate it hugely, and I'm just longing, and I just have a lasting thankful gratitude for all of this in a large extent. And we have many adventures planned for the future, both David and myself. I mean, he doesn't always attend. Obviously, if he was ill or had to suddenly do something when an event day was running, he wouldn't necessarily go. But obviously, and if an event clashed with another event, he's sometimes reasonably undecided as to which one to go to, and what have you, and blah 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 blah, and all that. But not only do we have the same love of heritage and vintage things, both David and myself share the same love of cats. And how I found out about David, I think I might dare share this story. And it was really not very long before we met. It was about one evening of Thursday, in the evening hours of Thursday of the 1st of July of 2021. It's been some time, I think, about an hour or so, since I'd uploaded one of the Daphne videos, one of the early Daphne videos I'd done. And then I got this comment out of nowhere from David, and it said, "Such a lovely little cat." And then I responded to him, and I was thankful. And then before long, I received a bombardment of comments from David on other videos, on bus videos, train videos and all that. And I remembered one bus video David saw. I mentioned the Worthing Bus Rally for 2021. And then he saw one of my Hove Park Miniature Railway videos, and I was like, this one was from a long time ago, David. But it is due to be up and running again, as I did say to him, and then eventually he came to it. And then it was about 3.5 weeks later, on the Sunday of the 25th of July, 2021, we met. It was right at the end of the Worthing Bus Rally, though, and we had met and had a friendly conversation and all that. And then he started making YouTube videos and all that from then on after our conversation. And David really was thanking me profoundly for it. It was before we got Nixie, and we were due to meet again about 2 weeks later at Tinkers Park, but it had been raining that weekend. And because of the heavy rainfall from that Saturday night, and then it was the Sunday of the 8th of August of 2021 that was, it put David off going because of how muddy the ground was. Although I did meet it was another David I did meet, but he has the YouTube channel David's Transport videos. And I think I did mention to him that David was due to come, but then I think I did tell him eventually that David could not go. Why he could not go? Because of the muddy ground and his car, and the high possibility his car could get stuck in the mud because of how muddy the ground was. Muddy and sodden was how the grassy ground was made at Tinkers Park, Hadlow Down. Muddy and sodden. And that's the absolute truth as I saw it all. But obviously David did meet the other David at the Ukraine Appeal bus event. And they were both quite happy to see each other, I have to say. And our friendship started from there on. And because of most events had been cancelled due to COVID in the past, until the summer of 2021, we ended up meeting up again in just almost 4 weeks later, on the 17th of August of 2021, at the Eastbourne Miniature Steam Railway, and then a few days later it was Hove Park Miniature Railway, and then 3 weeks later we met again at Hove Park Miniature Railway, and then it wasn't until 4 weeks later we met again, and then a week later, the next day, and then a week later, Hove Park, and a week later, Eastbourne Miniature Steam Railway, the final running Saturday for the 2021 running season. And then we met for the final time for 2021 before April of 2022 at the London to Brighton Veteran Car Run, which was one of the grandest classic car running events I'd ever attended. And I obviously attended it again the following year for the 2022 London to Brighton Veteran Car Run. Obviously David did not attend because of the rainy weather, but never mind. But, yes, and we were, I think, due to meet in February, but I could not go. At the Hove Museum. But I think we'll go together some other time, it's alright. And hopefully one of these days, both David and myself will go to the Detling event, as I'm looking forward to going to Detling. The Detling event whenever I can. As I've never been to the Detling event, because sometimes it coincides with the Hove Park Miniature Railway running as well. I mean, the Detling event for 2022 coincided with a HP Miniature Railway running day, as far as I can remember. But yes, that's exactly what I remember now. I guess the brain gets back. Memories come back, or memories weigh you down. Yeah. But yes, that was how our friendship started, and it's really been a lasting friendship, I must say. And I very happily, I've always very happily appreciated the most entrusting friendship I've had and lasting friendship I've had with David over nearly a spanning 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years since our friendship started in July. First started hearing from him when he commented on one of my Daphne videos. Then it was just Daphne we had at the time, because obviously I met him before we got Nixie, and now he's more than happy seeing the videos of both Daphne and Nixie, and especially when they really got on a lot better, because he could remember the first time there was a video of them, together, and they were just fighting and all the rest of it, and yowling and fighting, all that. Not terribly good. We said, hopefully Foxy, give it a few days, and the cat should settle down. But actually, within 1 day they'd settled down, because then I took a picture of them within the next day after I saw them both together, and then there was Daphne on one side of the hammock and Nixie on the other, which was really an enchanting photograph to have had. Really, it was. Oh, yes. But that's the story of mine and David's friendship. That's the story. A friendship, practically an entrusting friendship and lasting friendship. If one could have dare pointed out in its full profound default and all the rest of that, and things, as something like that, or something got through happily and so forth. Oh, yes. But, yes, David, you deserve to be the third most recommended YouTuber for 2023 in the most recommended YouTubers series. I'm so sorry if this series was completely unannounced, as I know you would have appreciated probably me giving an announcement video about this new series I made. I just made it completely out of nowhere. And I think that I might one day have to explain the reasoning why I just made it out of nowhere, because of someone I've been binge watching in recent days, but I find it a bit embarrassing to talk about it at the moment. I'm sorry, David, and everybody else watching, and sorry, Kim, too. Although we have a good friendship, David and myself, before I finish this off, we've had about 2 or 3 scandals in our friendship. The first scandal was when I did a community post about him on his friendship, representing his life and talking about his personal life, which David had a profound dispute about. He was like, but it was a calmly profound dispute. He said, it was very nice, I appreciate this post, Foxy, but all of this is very personal. But it was his good friend Kim, when she saw, upon citing the post, she was like, oh, Foxy, delete this post right now! And then I was talking to one of my friends about David and what he'd gone through, and she was like, oh, Foxy, Kim here, I'm very surprised and disappointed that you have yet again spoken about David and his personal life. This is David's life, not yours. She was most angry, fiery angry. David, he was annoyed, but calmly annoyed, but I did not take advantage of it. I did delete the post forthwith after David, I saw his dispute, but Kim's dispute was the biggest. You know, and then the third scandal we had was when I made a Daphne special video that had an excessive amount of swearing and crude words. But luckily I remade that Daphne video and you said, "It's a pleasure listening to you without the bad language and indeed the crudity." But he was happy when I remade it. Okay, well that's the end of this special video for now. Please subscribe to David's channel, and there's another episode, hopefully there will be another episode of the most recommended YouTubers in my version. Ta-ta, another time, from Foxy.